Welcome back. All right, so I want to talk about Love Island. I'm wearing a Transformers jersey because I got it today and it seems like it suits. So Hot Rod was a character that they brought into Transformers with this idea that he was going to be, the next one. Like, oh yeah, Optimus Prime will kill him off from Rodimus Prime and everybody will love Rodimus. And they didn't. And there were some issues along the way with Rodimus being aggravating and people just didn't like him. Now, I want to talk about Love Island, and we're going to go back a ways here. So I've gone through spoilers. I haven't watched every episode, but I've read some spoilers. I'm a few episodes behind. One problem with Love Island is there's, 4 episodes a week? 5 episodes a week? It's tough to keep up. It really is. So, Bergie. Bergie is a rather nerdy character. And I say character knowing that he's a real person and all that. But, I mean, on these shows, there's a bit of a character here. Reality TV is obviously not 100% real. Leslie Golden had a really good post on TikTok the other day exposing that Too Hot to Handle. She found an error in their editing, which I pointed out the last video I did talking about these shows, that there was an error with the editing there that I noticed. But that's the way they do it. They make it look as dramatic as possible. Now, they may be doing that here too, and I thought that in the episode I watched last night, they cut some stuff out. So what happens is Bergie comes in, and that first couple episodes, and everybody's pairing up, and Bergie was with Anna. Now, Anna, she seems nice enough. She sometimes makes comments that lead me to go, was that really the word you meant to use there? But anyways, that being said, she was friends with him, and everybody figured out pretty early that Bergie, and that's his nickname, that's what everybody calls him, that he's inexperienced with women. And I thought, this is great. Usually you have a bunch of guys who look like Chippendales and a bunch of young ladies who look like they're out of Victoria's Secret, and I can't identify with them. I'm entertained watching the show, but I certainly can't identify with them. I'm no Chippendale here, never been. And so I was like, okay, here's a guy who's kind of nerdy, not experienced with women. And immediately the guys are trying to tell him, okay, here's how you kiss a woman, here's how you deal with it. And the women are kind of trying to tell him, here's how you treat a woman, and here's how you do this. Now, it endeared him to the ladies. Now, with the guys, I knew it was going to wear thin. I knew it was going to wear thin. Guys are like, all right, we taught you this, and there you go. Guys are a little less patient than the ladies. So, Bertie ends up hanging around more with the women than with the men, which is fine. It's fine, but it can cause problems. Absolutely, it can cause problems, and I think that is, I don't want to say mistake, but it feels like it was a miscalculation on his part. That he may have taken for granted how much he should have been spending time with the guys and getting to know the guys so that, he's bonded to them. Because meanwhile, all the rest of the guys are, bonding pretty well with one another. In fact, last night there was a double date where the two guys were putting mud on each other. And I thought that was weird, because I was like, if I'm out with my wife and we're on a double date and we're doing mud baths and I start putting mud on the other guy, I would hope the other guy would turn around and look at me and go, what the are you doing? What's going on here? Why are you doing, I have a date, so why are you doing that? But anyways, it's fine. It's fine. It's just a couple of dudes being dudes. They're just hanging out. Nothing going on. Weird. Anyways, so Bergie gets eliminated. So they decide that the least compatible couple is Anna and Bergie, rightfully so. Bergie gets eliminated. But when he's eliminated, and it's day one still, right? He is told, hey, you're not going away. We're going to send you into the hideaway with these two young ladies, Hannah and Carmen. So he gets to spend the night with them and platonically, get your mind out of the gutter. But he did. He spent the night with them, and he really bonded to both. But Hannah, more as like a sister thing, and he really had it bad for Carmen. Now, Carmen, she's beautiful. She's well-spoken. I think of the people on the show, she's the one that I think has the best chance of finding a real relationship of the ladies on the show. However, there are people on the internet right now that don't like her very much, and we'll get into why. So when Hannah and Carmen come in, they're given a task. They have, in 24 hours, they can steal a guy, meaning that everybody's coupled up, except Bergie. That's key here. Bergie was not coupled up. So you can steal a man from somebody in the villa. They don't tell anybody. Hannah doesn't tell. Carmen doesn't tell. So Hannah steals. It was Marco she stole from Destiny. Destiny was fine with that. She was done with Marco. Carmen steals Victor from Jasmine, and Jasmine gets eliminated. So Jasmine's gone because I think it was that the Aussie guy comes in and he picks. The Aussie guy comes in, he picks Destiny, and Jasmine ends up getting sent home. So Victor felt kind of bad. Victor's the one that Carmen picks. And Victor feels kind of bad that Jasmine leaves. Although there was no real chemistry there. One thing that kicks in is that in these dating shows, you can see that people realize I might get eliminated. And so they get kind of flirty. They get kind of, and it's gameplay. And I'm totally fine with it. I have no problem with it. None. It's gameplay. In the end, you're trying to win the money, right? I think it's $100,000 for the winners, and it's you can split it as a couple or keep it for yourself. But yeah, so Carmen steals Victor. Jasmine goes home. Carmen's with Victor. Bergie was single at the time, and I didn't see anything saying that she couldn't have picked Bergie, but she didn't. And I thought, okay, that's kind of odd because her and Bergie had been talking. They're from about the same area. They have the same religious views and political views, and they had real conversations. There was an episode where she and he were talking about their relationship, and you could tell they've had real conversations, which is great. They don't show that on here enough. So it was obvious that Carmen and Bergie had more chemistry. And this immediately starts giving Victor like a bad feeling. And I understand why. She's come in, she has taken you away from the person you were with. Whether you had chemistry or not, it's not the point. And she's decided, okay, I'm taking you. And then she immediately decides, but I don't want you. So she puts Victor into the dreaded friend zone, which I have spent so much time in the friend zone that if you're in the friend zone, look around. You're going to see my signature somewhere. I've definitely, signed off in friend zone. Hope you get out of here soon. It took me years to get out. Shannon. So it gets kind of weird because she also has conversations with Victor. And Victor goes to Bergie and basically says that from what he's heard from Carmen in their conversations, she views him strictly as a friend. I didn't take this as something really nasty. Did he need to say it? Probably not. Was it a back off? Kind of, yes. However, Bergie then goes to Carmen. It's like, hey, so Victor says you've only ever had feelings for me as a friend. What's up with that? So Carmen decides she's going to go and confront Victor on it. This is where the mistake has happened. The mistake for Bergie was he should have gone to Carmen and said, something along the lines of, so is something building here? Is there something, because I've heard rumblings, and if she had said from who, just say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just, I just want to make sure that you and I are open and that this is still potentially going to happen. And, then you would have got an answer and then you don't have to fight with Victor. But what happens is it becomes this big deal. Now, keep in mind, these people are in a villa. It is not a very big villa. So you were in a small space with 12 people and you can't get away from each other. This is why when people go on dates, they're so happy because they can get out, right? Because it's kind of cramped. One thing that's been obvious this season is there's not much ambient noise while they're there. There are conversations that a person's having across the villa that a person can hear, and it's awful. There have been conversations heard through walls, conversations heard from upstairs to downstairs, and it's bad because people are stupid and they're saying things they shouldn't say without saying, I wonder if anybody can hear me. They're not doing that. So while this drama's been going on, there's other dramas out there as well. I feel bad for Anna. When Anna hears the guy she's paired up with telling somebody else, yeah, I don't really feel anything for her. I kind of think you're cute. And she can hear it. She's right there. And then when he comes down, he's kind of like, what? What? Like playing dumb? Oh, man. So dead. So getting back to the Bergie situation with Carmen. So it starts going back and forth, and Victor's getting frustrated. And again, I understand, because Victor's just saying what he thinks he heard from Carmen. Carmen is confronting him, and I think blowing it out of proportion. And Victor's kind of like, look, I just want this to go away. But it keeps happening. So Bergie would go back to Carmen again. Say, yeah, well, Victor's still saying this. Why are you doing that? So he's like, yeah, in front of all the guys, Victor said this. Why are you doing this? Don't do this. Don't. And I'm just saying this because, again, from experience, this doesn't go well. This goes badly. This goes really, really badly, really, really quickly. So Carmen is confronting Victor, which I didn't think she needed to do. If you're not interested in somebody you're paired up with, well, they do recouplings, so you just go with somebody else. You just decide, and you tell them, you say, look, this isn't working. We're going to do a recoupling. I think I'm going to go with him. I think I'm going to go with her. I think, that kind of thing. Just to treat it in with some modicum of respect. And I think that's where Victor talked a lot about wanting respect and not feeling respected, which, again, Anna talked about with her guy saying, hey, I think you're cute, to somebody else. But where I think Bergie's inexperience shows up is that, the guys and the girls are all trying to, help him with the fact he's inexperienced. The dude struggles with the kissing part of things. That was something that was talked about and turned into a joke. And I don't like the fact that the show's kind of trying to treat him like a joke, because I think he's more representative of the audience. Clearly, the audience likes him. And online, people have been in his corner. And I think it's because, he's not going to be confused with the most handsome man on the planet. Like Victor, the guy that he was taking Carmen from, my nickname for him has been Aquaman. And if you look up Victor in Love Island, you'll see why. And when he was in the water, I was like, now he is Aquaman. Cool. And I even said to Yvonne at one point, I think he's going to call some fish to attack Bergie. But the fights between, I can't even call them fights. Basically, Bergie would just kind of cower because Victor's a big guy. And the intimidation factor was there. And then the guys who've all been, bonded to Victor are kind of like, yeah, he's our boy. You're always over with the girls. So what the hell's that all about? One of them even pointed him and goes, yeah, you're a douchebag. Which, again, it's that fine line. And I think Bergie's crossed it where he's, and I get it, you're friends with the girls, you bring them coffee, they're all smiling and they smell great and they're all great. But in this game, and it's a game, you have to make sure that you're still talking to the guys. You're still close enough to the guys that when something like this comes up, they're not going to want to throw you under the bus. So what happens is America votes. And America votes that Carmen and Victor are the least compatible couple. And I know why. America wouldn't like Victor in the way he's talking to Bergie, because they like Bergie. And so the Islanders are given a chance. That's what they call the people on this show. The Islanders are given a chance, not the New York Islanders. The New York Islanders had no vote in this. But the Islanders are given a chance to save one or the other between Victor and Carmen. And most of the guys want to save Victor, right? Because that's their boy. They want to save him. They're connected to him. They're great, They a lot of bro hugging going on and a lot of working out. But Bergie wants to save Carmen because he sees that she could be his girlfriend. Which I understand. If you said, so who would you rather keep around? The guy who looks like Aquaman or somebody you might date and maybe marry someday? I'd rather keep around the person I might date. And she's like, I'm all in. I'm all in on Carmen. So eventually, the vote turns. It's 6-4, and Victor's gone. So Victor, on his way out, wasn't very nice to Bergie. Totally get why, because he understands that Bergie's the reason he's gone. Right? Bergie is the reason that he's gone. As soon as Victor's out, Carmen starts really thinking about things with Bergie. And she was mad because when Carmen was going to argue with Victor, apparently Bergie pulls her aside and says, you're a strong woman. The way that she took that was that he was weak. That he was glad that she was, doing what she was doing with confronting Victor instead of him having to do it. I didn't take it that way, but I understand why she took it that way. And at that point, she immediately goes, Bergie's not the kind of guy I want to be with. And then you're done. As soon as that happens, you're done. If they end up together, I would be very, very surprised. Because, once that happens, it's over. Once a woman decides, hey, you're not man enough, I don't think you come back from that. I mean, it's possible, I guess. Anything's possible, Hey, sure, why not? Beanie Babies could come back. But the reality is that, for Bergie, and he's still learning. And the guys, there are a couple of moments where the guys on the most recent episode I watched were like, yeah, dude, you've got to learn. And they're right. They're right. It is a fine balancing act that you've got to toe here. where it's great to be friends with the ladies. And again, usually for me, I'm usually more comfortable talking to women than men. But in that scenario and in that setup, you absolutely have to be not playing both sides. That's the wrong way to look at it, but you have to be strategic. And for him, he has been all in on Carmen. Now, apparently over the next few episodes, that changes a little bit because I've read spoilers, like I said. And so we'll see if he stays single. But my guess is he'll be single. My guess is he'll be dumped from the island at some point because, again, women will see him as a buddy, as a friend, as a brother, as a confidant, but they won't really see him as the type of guy they can date. Now, when I was in my 20s, absolutely that was a major problem for me. One thing that Bergie said that really spoke to me too is he said, I can get a girl to go on a date with me. I can't get them to go on a second date. Yep. I know how that is. I absolutely know how that is. And, there's certain behaviors that are there that will send people the other way. And I think he does that too. And part of it is self-confidence. So the trick is, you have to have the self-confidence, because if you have the self-confidence, people are like, hey, look how confident he is. I want to be around him. But you can't just generate that confidence all by yourself out of thin air, because it's going to seem fake. And people are like, this guy's fake. He's not actually confident. So you actually have to have real self-confidence for no reason, it would seem. And I know that's maybe simplifying it, but I think that's what it is. And so for Carmen, who again, I think she's a lovely young lady. I have seen posts, Bergie's family posted that she was a snake, which, no, and here's why. So, again, Victor leaves, and Carmen friend zones Bergie, but it's seen that Bergie saved Carmen, and the fact that Carmen decided not to be with him after that is seen as being sleazy and underhanded. But she's not. In that situation, if you save someone, they don't have to be your girlfriend. That person doesn't have to be your boyfriend. You've saved them, great. They don't have to be with you. That's not how that works. And so I think people are taking that in the wrong direction. The idea that, well, see, he saved her and then she wasn't grateful. She was grateful. She was actually grateful. It doesn't mean she has to date him. It doesn't mean she has to be with him. So I kind of feel bad for her because the internet's decided she's the bad guy. So whatever couple she ends up in, if she ends up in a couple the next time they do an elimination, my guess is she goes home. Because now the other Islanders are mad at her because she decided not to go with Bergie. And he's just distraught and like, why can't I find a girlfriend? Again, you have to be trying but not trying. You have to seem like you're interested but not desperate. You have to acknowledge that you're completely out of your depth, but you can't seem like you're out of your depth. And again, it has to be intimidating. It has to be intimidating to have somebody who's really pretty, really well spoken when you're somebody who's not used to having attention from a woman like that. It has to be tough. It has to be tough not to just jump around and go, holy crap, seriously, how did this happen? So I don't know how this is all going to turn out, but I will say I have no problem with making further videos on it, even if nobody's watching them. Because, again, it does feel like it's kind of a microcosm of like a society thing. And because they went against type, because they brought him in, and he's inexperienced, and obviously the people running the show knew this, I think it's great, but they have to stop belittling him. The voiceover, it's awful. Because 15 times an episode it's like, Dairy Queen manager. Bergie's a Dairy Queen manager. Bergie, the Dairy Queen manager. Now, Carmen has to go see the Dairy Queen manager. Do we talk about how everybody else, how they're models or what they do? No. But do we talk about him being a Dairy Queen manager? Yes. Does it have any impact on his ability to be a boyfriend? No. Can a Dairy Queen manager make a decent living? Yes, they absolutely can. You can make decent money working at a fast food restaurant. Not great. You're not going to make as much money as a doctor or a lawyer, but I really think that the fact that the show kind of picks on him, it makes me worry that maybe they cast him with the idea of, hey, we'll put a nerd in there and see how it turns out. So there's definitely some of that, and I feel like some of it's mean-spirited. And so we'll see how it goes. Because, again, they can really manipulate the footage. One thing I will say towards the end of Victor's time there, so he confronted Bergie and really got in his face, but it felt like they buried the hatchet a little bit, and that footage wasn't shown, because there's a scene a little bit later that they're almost right next to each other and they're both talking and they're both comfortable, and I thought in that situation Bergie wouldn't be comfortable unless him and Victor have actually had some kind of a chat to say, we have a difference of opinion, but we're in the villa together. We can just, try to be civil. I think that happened, and I don't think they showed us. Creative editing, a lot of creative things go on, but yeah, we'll see what happens with this. And I'm fascinated because, again, I can identify with Bergie. Totally get it. Totally get it. And I mean, in the end, it worked out for me, sure, but boy, the journey was certainly rough at times. For many, many years, it was rough. It was a very, very rough go. I was very fortunate to find Yvonne when I did. And, we've been together for about 7 years now, but I totally get that feeling like you're kind of out of your depth. You have a girl talking to you in the back of your mind, you're like, what? How did this happen? This is great. And you have to balance that, because if Carmen feels like Bergie thinks she's out of his league, if she feels like he thinks she's up here and he's down here, which might be part of it as well, then yeah, she's going to be like, well, we'll just be friends then. So yeah, we'll see how it all turns out. But I do find the show fascinating. I may be the only one. I'm fine with that, because it's a show I enjoy watching with my wife. But let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And no, I'm not going to say that I hate Victor or Carmen or Bergie, because I think the whole thing was a misunderstanding from the start. And it should have been stopped and squashed way before it was. So there you go. Yep, different kind of video. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.